Alright, welcome back everyone. So, in this tutorial we're actually going to go through multiple different ways of starting your cutscene, cinematic, or whatever. So, simply said, I took the neighbor basics level because unfortunately I lost the other levels that we were doing the tutorials with, but I quickly, really quickly made a an actual level blueprint, level sequence in here. It's really simple stuff. I just made the camera kind of move around, and that's about it. So let's just start off first by going over like 4 different ways that I'll be showing you. So 2 of the ways will be by level blueprints, and the last way will be the last 2. I'm going to show you how to make your own blueprint actor, which you'll be able to put all over the place, and it'll be customizable. So without further ado, let's begin. So the simplest way of doing it, I'm just going to remove this so that there's nothing here. Okay, so simplest way of doing it, for one, is you're going to have to take your master sequence, so the one that actually has all the shots in it. So if you made multiple shots, make sure you have the master one. So like this one here that I have is called Tudo Master Sequence, which has new shot 1, 2, and 3, which these are all my shots, and this is the one governing all the 3 shots. So all you got to do is make sure that the actor itself is in your level. So I have it right here. So with it selected, let's go up here to blueprints, open level blueprints, and I'm going to show you guys how to do a quick one on begin play. So right when the game starts, well then do whatever. So first things first, make sure that your sequence is selected, and then in the blueprints, right click and create reference to Tudo Master, or whatever yours is called. Pull off here and just write in play sequencer, I think. Right here, it's called play sequence player. That's the one that you need. Okay, press that, you'll get this nice little goodies. Then all you got to do is connect this, and then if you come in and now press play, then your cutscene will play right at the beginning of this level though, not any of the other ones. So once my computer finally gives me control, and there you go, my sequence has started, blah blah blah. The one thing though that you'll notice is I still, at this point, you can hear it, see, I see my character and I could still have control, right? So what we're gonna want to do is pulling off of here so that we don't see our player. We are going to cast to BP human, okay, and the object wildcard, just get player character is what you want. Alright, and pulling off of here, we are going to actually, no, right click here and do try get, is that it? Not try, get player controller. So we want this guy as well. Okay, so once we have this like kind of set up in a sense, what you're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to disable the input of the player. So pulling off of here, we're going to do actually might pull off of here actually and do a disable input, which then there, and connect our player controller to it. So now we won't be able to move the player. Okay, now pulling off of this guy, we are going to want to actually, you know what, pulling off of here, let's get mesh, and it'll be the last whoops, I'm in caps. Last one right here, get mesh. And then if we pull off of here, we can set visibility and connect these two in. So now when we press play, the inputs to the character are disabled, and the view of the character itself will be disabled as well. But we're going to unfortunately want to regain control and re-get the visibility afterwards. So we have this really cool little function here. So if we pull off of the sequence, okay, we can get something called I think it's called a on finished, if I'm not mistaken. Right here, bind event on finish. Okay, now this guy needs an event to actually start. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna create a custom event, and I'm gonna call this end of sequence. Okay, make sure that this guy's connected, and this guy here. Okay, so we're going to play it, and then when it's done, then we're going to want to regain control of, so enable input. Okay, whoops, reconnect this, and take the player controller and make sure that's connected. And then right over here, or actually let's take the mesh and then do set visibility and back to on. So now when we press play, everything worked. Our cutscene's gonna play, but I'm right now pressing on forward and backwards, and you don't hear my footsteps, right? And when the camera actually pans towards, see, player's not even present, and I have control. Now this is a really quick way of setting it up, okay? So you regain control as well as visibility of your character afterwards. But this is all in level blueprints, so it's all fun and dandy. Now, if you guys want another way, instead of being on the event begin play, you guys can add a trigger instead. So just go into volumes, do trigger, oops, and it's called box trigger, and say we just size it up, okay, and then with it selected back in your level blueprint, you can right click and do add event collision on begin overlap, and then just switch out these, and then this will happen after you basically collide into it. So once you actually hit the trigger, then it will play and whatnot. But this is all, like I said, this is all nice and dandy, but then you got to keep writing this if you want to do it from level to level. So it's all cool that, yes, inside the mod kit they do have a kind of teleporter, or not a teleporter, but a pre-made blueprint asset that you can use, but I would much prefer showing you guys how to make one. So let's actually get rid of all this, all right? And let's actually go out and make our own blueprint. So over here, I'm going to call this, I'm going to anywhere, if you're going to do a mod kit though, make sure that this asset is inside of your mods folder. But otherwise, I'm going to do it in a random folder over here. So in here, right click, blueprint class, actor, and call it BP my trigger cutscenes. Yeah. All right, let's open this up. So double click it. All right. So I'm gonna close this. This is empty. Yep. All right. So now with all that done, what we're gonna want to do is add a box collision, and I'm gonna call it trigger. And let's just size her up. All right. Next is preferably I like changing this because that's just me. So I'm gonna just add a billboard. So like face, whatever, doesn't matter what you call it. And with engine, making sure show engine content is there, I'm gonna put sequencer, and there you go. So now I have a sequencer, so I know that this is for my sequencer. All right, so compile, save. Inside of the event graph now, I'm going to get rid of these two and keep this one because later on I'm going to show you guys how to do something cool. So right off the bat, let's take this trigger and right click it, add event, on component, begin overlap, and then we are going to pull off of other actor, cast to BP underscore human. Now, if you're doing another project that isn't in the mod kit, well then you'd be using like third cast to third person, whatever your character is. So this, what I'm going to show you guys, you can use it afterwards in your other projects. It doesn't just have to be Hello Neighbor, right? So with now we're checking to see when the BP human hits this trigger that we made. So this trigger box. So once he goes into it, now we want to do something. So we only want the cutscene to play once, I believe. So I'm going to put a do once on. This is a node that literally says once you go through, no matter what happens, no matter how many times the human goes and connects to overlaps with the trigger, well, it won't do it anymore unless you put a reset, but we won't be putting one. So it'll only play once. So you won't have to, every time you press play or every time you get caught, it won't keep playing, right? Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add a variable here. Now this variable, I'm going to call it sequence, okay, or sequencer, whatever, doesn't matter. And you're going to want to hit the little eyeball that's right here because we're going to want to see this afterwards. And just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to add a category called sequencer. And the variable type, we are going to want a sequencer. Maybe remove sequencer. Where is it? It's one of these. BP level sequence. That's the one. Okay, we want the level sequence. So if you guys just write, just so that you guys can easily find it, level sequence right here. Is it the actor? It might be the actor actually. Yeah. So grab level sequence actor, boom, and it'll change right here. So you'll have an indication that it's actually for the sequence. So it'll only accept sequencers this way. See, you'll see how this is going to help us afterwards. So drag this in, get it, and then pulling off, we're going to write play, and we're going to want to search for the same one we did in the level blueprint, play sequence player. Okay, it'll give us this nice little node, which will then go out and connect it like so. Okay, now what I'm going to want to do right now is I'm going to start off a new custom event, kind of like we did before. Okay, but this one will be slightly different. Okay, so this one I'm going to play play sequencer, yeah, just so I'm cool. I'm going to cast to BP human, and since I don't have a nice spot to connect it into, I'm going to have to get player character, because this is what's going to affect the input as well as the visibility of the player. Okay, so once we're at this part here, now I can actually add this here. So we are going to play sequencer, yeah, right there, and target will be self. So once we have this, I'm actually going to want to make a check. Okay, so I'm going to make a branch, and I want to make sure that the cinematic is actually playing. So if we drag off of here, we get this, and we do is playing. So is playing sequence player right here, and we connect this. So if we are playing this level sequence, then what I'm going to want to do is I'm actually going to want to disable. So pulling off of the cast to BP human as BP human, disable input. Boom. All right. Now, since this is an input, we're going to want to actually get the player controller. All right. So this little card will say what it needs to disable, which is the controller, which is where we don't want the player to be able to move around, right? So after that, I'm going to pull off of this guy, and I'm going to write get mesh. And if you scroll all the way at the bottom, the last one right here, get mesh with the little blue dude, click that, and then we are going to set visibility. So we are now going to set the visibility of the mesh to off. All right, quite simple. So a little lower down here, I'm going to want to make a new custom event. All right, this new custom event will be called, let's call it enable, oh no, whoops, custom event, add custom event, enable, whoops, enable, call it input, yeah, input of player. Okay, now, all right, so once we got that, let's go back up here to our trigger and pulling off of the sequence target sequence player, pull right off of here, and we're going to want to make a check. This is kind of like it's an event binding. It's the same one that we did before. So it's the on finished bind event. So bind event to on finished. Okay, pull off here, and I'm going to bind this event to that custom event that we made down here. So only when the sequence, so right here, see what we're doing is we're hitting the trigger. We're only going to do this once. We're going to play the sequence. Okay, once the sequence is started to play, we're going to disable the input from the player so he can't move, and we're going to remove his mesh, his visibility, so he won't be seen. Okay, but I want to also do a check to see when it's done. So when the sequence, this sequencer, this one here that we'll put inside of this variable, when this one is done, then what I want to do is I want to enable the input. Okay, and we're going to want to enable it back to the player controller. You can drag off of this one, or you can just put in a new one, get player controller, if you want to keep it clean. And you can as well write off of the BP human, but just for, I'm going to double click on the line and bring off this here so that the BP human is now the target of the enable input. Alright, so with that, we can pull off this mesh here, and we can set visibility, and you put this to on. Connect this, and now we have a fully functioning trigger, customizable trigger, if you will. So just for you guys, I'm going to set some comments here. So trigger play cinematic. All right, this here. So all you got to do, if you guys don't know how to do comments, is you select everything you want to be in the comment, and you hit C on your keyboard. So C like comment, and just write your little description. So enable input and visibility of player. And same thing for here, press C, and I'm going to enable input and visibility of player. All right. The last little thing though is this little event on begin play. So what we're going to do is over here in variables, click the little plus button, and we'll put this as start cine. Whoops. Start cine. Begin play. There. Hit the little I, and over here in variable types, make sure it's a boolean, and I'm just going to put it inside of the sequencer category. So with that done now, I'm going to pull off of here. I'm going to make a check to see if this is true. Then I'm going to want to do that. Press C and on begin play. Alright, so now hit compile, hit save. We're going to go back into here. I'm going to remove this guy. This old one I have. Going to remove this just so you guys, we're all on the same page, and I called it my trigger cutscene. So there it is. So with your my trigger cutscene now, if you have it selected inside your details panel under sequencer, wow, I wrote that wrong. I'm not smart, am I? Sequencer. There we go. And this guy here, sorry about this. Sequencer. There we go. Oof, that was just bothering me. Okay, so over here under sequencer, now we can select whichever one. So I have this one here. Where's this other one? Ugh, delete. Okay, I had two. Very confusing. So once you've dropped in your actual sequence, so your master sequencer, you dragged it in. When you have your trigger now, you can right over here select which one you want it to play. And we have a little nice cool little thing here. So if you actually want it to start on play, well, you just press that. When you press play, if everything worked and didn't break, which shouldn't have, it should play right on play. And if you have this not ticked, so something did not work. What did not work? Why is this not working? Let's go into here. Sequencer. Shot 1 doesn't exist. Okay, that's weird. My fault for some reason. I probably hit something before. Okay, now it's there. That's so weird. Okay, that's all good. Okay. So why aren't you not working? Tudo start begin play. Yep. There we go. So it was just that had bugged for me. So there you have it. So you have it on begin play. And then if you have this selected again and remove the tick, so now it's only a trigger. So once you press play, you'll see I have full control. And then if I start walking in, oh, I just walked into my trigger. I don't have control. See, I'm pressing my buttons, nothing's happening. And once the camera pans towards myself, you clearly see I am not there, but I am here. Haha. And I can keep walking through and it won't play. So there you have it. Might have been a bit long, so you have a few ways of either quick in the level blueprint or making your own blueprint, which now you can put anywhere inside of any of your maps and basically have a trigger or a begin play. So there you have it. So I'm gonna leave it out. I'm gonna cut this video here. If you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, any other kind of thing you guys want to see or you're stuck on, don't hesitate to poke me in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer you whenever I can. So with that said, have fun having your little sequencers starting in your levels now, whichever way you want, either triggers or whatever. Have fun building your little blueprint here, which seemed a little long, but once you understand a lot of these principles, you'll be able to apply these into other blueprints as well. So hope this this helped out you guys, and do apologize for the lack of content. I've been quite busy with work and whatnot, but I do hope this helps you guys out. and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Take it easy, guys.